in this Quincy Jones interview that took place with Vulture magazine, and one of the craziest things I've ever heard. The first headline that jumped out at everyone that got me to read it was Quincy Jones said that Marlon Brando had sex with Richard Pryor, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" All right, I'm all in. I'm gonna read this interview now. That was the clickbait they used to get me. And this is the one time that I'll say, thank God they did. That was the most fascinating article I've read in fucking years. I can't even, it's so good, I can't even put a second of like, what was another fucking interview that I read or listened to that was that fascinating? I can't name one.
When's another time that someone was that honest? That naming names, that dragging people, like people don't do it.
So in this article, he talks. That was the first thing I clicked on, and I got to the Richard Pryor thing, and they asked him another question, and then he was the one who circled back to this and just was like, "Well, I used to party with Marlon Brando, and Marlon Brando used to have these fucking wild parties, and he was fucking Richard Pryor, Marvin Gaye." And I was like, whoa.
So Marlon Brando was the one that was fucking all of them.
Yeah, but they were all in. They were all in. Like,
sure.
They were fucking each other and having sex and doing shit. And I was like, this, and everybody was like, this cannot be true. Right. Including myself. I was like, there is no fucking way.
No way.
Richard Pryor's ex-wife last night got on Twitter and was just like, nope, it's true. It was the 70s when drugs were real drugs. If you had good Quaaludes, good Coke, like the Coke wasn't stepped on, it was pure. She was like, back then you were fucking a radiator afterwards if you could. Like, that's the way it was. That's how good the drugs were back then. So she confirmed it. And you were like, what? I can't.
Why confirm it though?
Why not? Why not?
Like,
Richard Pryor. So I thought about this. Richard Pryor was fucking insane. I mean, absolutely insane. He grew up in a whorehouse in Peoria, Illinois.
Right.
His whole life was crazy. This only adds to the allure and the craziness of it, where you're like, yeah, fuck. I mean, he burned himself alive with a crack pipe. Like, his entire life was crazy.
We aren't like bringing down a pure.
No, you're throwing another log on that legend of the fire of Richard fucking Pryor, which was amazing. And I was like, shit. Then after that, I was like, maybe the rest of the article's true. So I went back and reread it, which a lot of people have. This started trending on Twitter, Quincy Jones. People have reread this article.
It's in Vulture
5-10 times.
Yeah.
Now going back through it, going, holy shit. All right, if this is true, then maybe everything else he said in this article was true. So we're going to go over some of the greatest hits from this article because they're crazy. And look, it didn't stop all the way through. The first one was Michael Jackson, and they asked him, what was something people didn't understand about Michael Jackson? And he said, look, Quincy Jones said, I hate to get into this publicly, but Michael Jackson stole a lot of his stuff, stole a lot of his music. He said he stole Donna Summer's State of Independence for the song Billie Jean. And he goes, the notes don't lie, man. He was as Machiavellian as they come, meaning he was a fucking cutthroat gangster.
Right. Greedy.
So he goes on and says, how so? He was fucking greedy. He said, don't stop till you get enough. That song was Greg Phalangis. He said he wrote the entire C section, this guy named Greg. And he said Michael should have given him a percentage of the song, but wouldn't do it. Refused to do it.
Like he didn't have money to do it.
Right.
It's like...
the reason I find this in particularly fascinating is by Quincy Jones naming other songs that he's biting from or getting influence on. There is a big story about Ed Sheeran that is going around right now of Ed Sheeran stealing music as well.
Okay.
And what I didn't know anything about this. I had briefly kind of passed over this article and I was like, that's interesting. What they were claiming was Ed Sheeran was listening to other artists' music. One in particular was Tom Petty. that he was writing an album and he was listening to Tom Petty as inspiration. Tom Petty, and again, I'm not a musician, but I understand what they're saying is the notes kind of match up the same, and it's the same sing-songy type of phrase, the same way, which to me is a hard one to justify, right?
Yeah.
Because Donna Summers never sued for Michael Jackson or the estate for this. Neither has this guy, to my knowledge. Because I would think that would be hard to prove in court. Turns out it wasn't. Turns out Tom Petty actually did sue Ed Sheeran, won, and is now listed as a writer on a couple of Ed Sheeran's songs. And that happened before he passed away. But Tom Petty and Ed Sheeran agreed to settle it out of court. Therefore, it did not become a news story. However, 4 or 5 artists have also sued Ed Sheeran for borrowing or stealing their type of sound. Same thing. These lawsuits have gone forward, and Ed Sheeran's given them writing credits and a financial cut of these songs.
That's weird.
Yeah. So with this Michael Jackson shit, when this popped up in this Quincy Jones interview, I was like, fuck, we got the same case on this. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Now I'm sure people are going to go back and start comparing these songs and finding out, if Greg Phalangis is still alive and see what that's like. They were asking Quincy Jones about the surgery, about all Michael Jackson's surgery. He said it wasn't a pigment disease, and it wasn't, that he was trying to.
We all kind of knew that, though, right? A little bit.
I figured as much, but like a close friend now saying it, now it makes sense. He said he got all this plastic surgery because his dad called him ugly all these years, and he was physically abused, and he wanted to change his appearance. That makes sense.
That's pretty common, actually, with people that are like abused. When they look in the mirror, they want to like see someone else. He just went really far and I mean, completely different to a woman.
Yeah. They brought up the Trumps because, look, again, Quincy Jones has been the centerpiece. If there is a fucking Illuminati and you believe this shit, and you believe there is an Illuminati in this world, I am convinced and have been forever, Quincy Jones is the center of it and everybody else spreads around it. I told this story on the podcast a while back. I don't know what number show it was, about when they were going to elect or Barack Obama was running for president. Before he decided to announce that he was running for president, they had a huge dinner at Quincy Jones's house. Quincy Jones had called together Oprah and the most powerful black people in the community and said, how do we get this guy elected president? And it all started at Quincy Jones's house, including Obama. And then they fanned out from there and went on to make this historic achievement happen. But it all started with Quincy Jones. You go back and watch Ray Charles, the Ray Charles movie and all that shit. He was playing with Quincy Jones. Like he was the guy who was leading Ray around at the beginning of the movie, at 15, 16 years old.
Oh, he has his hands in
everything for 50 years.
Everything.
You go back and look at these Spielberg movies. He scored the entire Color Purple.
Right.
Like, Jesus Christ. Oprah got an Oscar from it. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're going back in like real films where you're just like, Jesus Christ. I mean, for years and years and years.